Now, asshole's still on about my hairline, right? Now, you can't do all this, right? If your hair is receding, right? No, you can't, right? You can't even pull on it, right? Or tug on it, right? If it's real hair, it's not gonna go nowhere. It's not gonna go nowhere. What's your malfunction? Conjunction, junction, what's your function? Oops. Damn. Crazy Trump. Well, they could have in the Electoral College, and this is all they could have done, is even if the Republicans won, right, and say the voter for that state, right, changed his vote to Republican, right, even if the Democrats won, right, legally, he can do that, right. He's not supposed to, not right. But if the person sitting right in the voter's chair, right, for the Electoral College is Democrat or Republican, right, he can vote against both the popular vote and the party vote, right. Even if he's a Democrat or a Republican, right. This is, again, considered unusual if they do, right, though, too, right. And then you're trying to steal the popular vote of Georgia, for example, right, versus, right, the person casting the ballot for Georgia, who is the only one who can change his vote, right, or her vote, right, depending on if it's a male or a female. See, in the Electoral College, you also elect someone to vote for you, right? For the state, right, you're in, right? And if they're a Democrat or a Republican, even if the Democrats won, and this is, I guess, my take on it, right? You can vote for the other party if you're a Democrat or a Republican yourself, right? But that's also not normally done, right? And would be considered unusual to do so, right? That's what I mean. That's all you could do. And even then, he can also vote as the vote is supposed to be if the Democrats won, even if he's a Republican as well. That's the point, right? But it's still his choice, right? And he knows if he votes against the popular vote, right, it's going to create an investigation. Right? Anyway, Trump, right? Don't you see what you're doing is wrong, right? And goes against the popular vote? No matter what you think, right? You also cannot create 11,000 votes that don't exist, right? To win the election by that process, right? He can't come with 11,000 votes out the blue if that's how much the Democrats won by in Georgia, right? Even if you win by one vote, right, you can't change that point, right? Or 11,000, right, votes, right? It would look odd either way. Whether it's 1 or 11,000, the Democrats won by, right? They won. And that can be confusing, though, too, right? This was when America first started. Some of these rules were made up anyway, right? And that's to prove that the popular vote of the state does matter, but it's rare that someone would actually change the vote against the party that won the popular vote to the Republican Party if they lost, right? And usually it's either a Republican or a Democrat themselves casting the vote. Now, if it's a Republican casting the ballot for Georgia, right, what they do is they do it in Congress and say who won the popular vote, Trump or Biden, right? If Biden won the popular vote, he won that state, right? legally. But if not, right, he didn't win, right? Like I said before. Now, back to the other topic, my hair. Does my hair even look thin, right? Right. Or does it look like it's growing out from the roots, right? As well. That's another thing that shows if you're going bald, the hair would be going up A, higher. B, there would be bald spots in the back of the hair. Right? Ain't none. And it would be going up higher, not staying the same in over 2 years of harassment about my hair. And I'm 52 years old. Right? Next, you're going to be saying, why aren't you going white yet? And harassing me about that. I don't know. Unless someone tried to dye my hair and it ain't me. Right. I don't know why it's staying brown. But it's staying brown. So this is dark brown hair as well. Almost black. But that's because, again, there's a little bit higher spot here. And like I pointed out last year, too. But then it goes on, right? This here is way higher than this side. This side has a lower hairline, right? That goes through the hair. And all I'm doing, I'm not trying to shame people who have the bald gene either. Right? I say that too. I'm not trying to shame you if you're going bald or not, right? I'm trying to help other people who other people harass for the same topic, right? One thing is you don't know your genes, the dominant or the recessive, unless you get a DNA test, and even then it's going to tell you certain things about yourself, like I'm African American 1.3%, right? That's all I know about it. I'm 2.2% Arabic, right? 0.2. It said, I know. And I'm Spanish a little bit. I think that was, I'm not even sure what that was, but maybe 1%, right? And the rest of it is mixed Caucasian, right? I'm not even fully one race of white, right? I'm French, Greek, Italian, German, English, Irish, and that's all I know, right? So, I'm at least 9 different nationalities, right? In one man. I'm mixed, right? So if I'm African American, Arabic, Spanish, French, Greek, Italian, German, English, and Irish, like I told you in a joke before, I'd be fighting myself if I was as racist as you people sometimes get. And see, you also can't put down people who are white and poor either, right? Or black and poor, right? You can't make whoever you choose or want to be rich either. That's wrong too, right? That's doing a case system. That's giving more to the rich and less to the poor. Right? Now, why does Jesus bring up the point of the talents? Right? He gave 5 to 1, 2 to 1, and 1 to 1. The one who had the 1, though, buried the coin, right? And gave back his Lord his own coin, right? But why was he upset with that? Because he could have put it in the bank, right? And he'd get his own back with usury, right? But what is he really saying, though? I know. Is he saying, you know, use what you got, right? The best you can. That's what I'm doing here, right? I'm trying to start my own church, starting with my house. This is from my disability, right? Right. Not my church, right? So you got to divide the house between the fact that I'm trying to start a church, right? And I'm very slow in doing so. Right? I don't even have a second member yet. Technically. who's really willing to join my church. And that's all it is. I'm trying to start something from my own home, right? As the disciples had to, because they couldn't do this in the synagogue, right? Or the temple in Jerusalem, right? They had to do it more in the houses of the believers, right? And that's what I'm trying to start out as they did 2,000 years ago. But all the instruments, I can't play all the instruments but individually, like any human being, right? If someone has a soundtrack, right, even if they did all the instruments, they have to do it individually and then combine it into one track, right? And I'm not saying you can't do that legally, because you can't, right? Like, I heard Prince did it with all his music. He did the music part. Now, Wendy and Lisa sung their part, but I could even impersonate them in 1999, right? And legally, if I'm teaching you that song, right, and I'm teaching you how to impersonate Prince, Lisa, Wendy, or whoever, right, is in the band, right, or I hear different sounds and I'm trying to teach you impersonation, legally, that means I'm doing it under fair use, right? I'm doing it for educational purposes and how to impersonate more than one voice. Now, I could even demonstrate it in a small clip, right? Just to show you how to listen to hear the different voices you're impersonating, right? So you also have to be able to hear by ear. So, whether I do it now or later, right? I might even have difficulty remembering the opening of the song, right? I ain't heard it on the radio in a while either. But I think it starts out, I was dreaming when I wrote this fucking music goes astray. I ain't saying I'm doing it perfect. I'm a little nervous too, right? But when I woke up this morning, it was the judgment day. That's the second voice that comes in, and the smell. The sky was all purple and people running everywhere. And this is Prince's voice, I guess. Right. You know I didn't even care. Then they kind of combine it with Prince's and someone else's voice, probably the females, right? Right, but that's two voices. And then a combination, right, from one point of the song, the opening, right? Now, since I'm human, though, I can be nervous, but you can still hear a little bit of what you're saying, of what I'm saying. So, I was dreaming about this chicken because it's sweet. I can even do it faster or slower, right? But when I woke up this morning, was the judgment day. And I also might want to freestyle it. Well, I'm proving it's really me. I'm proving it's really me and not a recording of Prince, right? Right. But I'm trying to teach you how to impersonate the song I heard on the radio, right? Maybe not perfectly, mind you. It's not my song. I don't own it, right? But I'm still trying to educate you in how to change your voice if you're an impersonator, right? Legally, under education purposes of what I learned in high school about being part of a choir. Without a college education or a teacher's license, I'm offering free lessons on YouTube. Kinda. Though you can be paid if you're demonstrating what you're talking about. Like, right now, whoever opened the song, I don't know if it was Lisa or Wendy, I just know it sounds like a female, right? So, even though I'm a little nervous about it, right, I'm still, you can at least hear the melody, right, if you understand what I mean, right, where it sounds like the person opening the initial lyric for the song, right? Another thing you can critique are the lyrics to the song, right? Again, that's words, right? Free speech is, again, why you can critique another person's word. I was dreaming if I wrote this, forgive me if it goes astray. But when I woke up this morning, good it's morning, it was the judgment day. The sky was all purple and people running everywhere. Well, what is this talking about? A nuclear warhead attack or a bomb? Right? Hitting the city. And the main point is people were thinking we would be Armageddon by 2000. 2000, party's over. Out of time. You know what that lyric means, right? We're out of time by the year 2000. Which is an opinion, right? Not a fact. But it's part of a song, so it doesn't matter, right? They're just words to the song, right? So now I'm making it educational, relating it to why Prince wrote the song, right? Critiquing it. I like the song when he wrote it, right? I get the lyrics, right? I know what he's talking about, right? And I'm making it completely educational, right? Not for money's sake, but for educational sake. But I do have a legal church running from my house, right? I'm trying to teach you why you can listen to Prince and a church song. Even though Prince is copyrighted and most church songs aren't, right? And I'm explaining that point, right? See, why is making money off of a song considered wrong? Because you're narcissistic if you think only you can sing a song. Yeah. And you gotta be kind of narcissistic to say, oh, only I can write the words of this song. Not necessarily. And the reason is, you're using it based on your opinion, right? Of a nuclear warhead by a war by 2000, right? And you're saying party's over by 1999, right? And will be the last year we'll have the party, right? Now, from the same premise, anyone, if you're using words, right, might could come up with the exact same lyrics as you too, right? Why? Because it opens, I was dreaming when I wrote this, forgive me if it goes astray, right? But when I woke up this morning, could have sworn it was the judgment day, right? The sky was all purple and people running everywhere. Just one for my destruction, I didn't even care, right? That's how our attitude is. We don't even care sometimes if World War III might happen tomorrow, but we don't know when. And it seems like people want to build up to it every day, right? Till it actually becomes the Battle of Armageddon itself, which is a mountain in Israel that's now a place, right? A reborn country, right? And again, people don't like Israel, want to blow it off the damn map, right? And that's why World War III happens, right? It's us that support Israel, Biden, or don't, again, Trump, that are both causing the problem, right? It don't matter whether you support them or not. They're a country now, and most people don't want them there, right? Especially if you're Middle Eastern, right? Or Arabic, right? But I'm only 0.2% Arabic, right? And I was raised in the South as a Christian who are trying to help the Jews, but because of Jesus, but no, they're wrong too, right? So, like I said, you can critique somebody's religion, but you can't change the person actually practicing and make them do what you're saying they should do either, right? If you don't have that understanding when you go to a religious person, right, you're kind of wasting your time, right? I also realized with the church I went out to, called Christian Fellowship Church, right, which again is a general name, right, for any church, right, but they named their church Christian Fellowship Church first. Right, right. That's the name Pastor Davis chose for his church, right? And they're also international, because they have churches in other countries, Haiti and Sri Lanka, right? India. And again, that's because they have people join them in the Navy, right? They also have 3 main churches, one in Waukegan, one in Norfolk, and one in San Diego, which are also military bases, right? Whatever vision that man had, he was right to try and bring his church into the military, right? Whatever he was doing with his units, right? As well, when he tried to recruit me into that part, right? And I expressed a little bit of interest in it. It turned out to be something I was, raised in the South, told you can do, if you're 2 men, right? So, like I told you, they called me General Lee. After Robert E. Lee. Right, probably. And, and that's all I'm telling you is what I remember without joining them either, right? And doing it, right? But I'm still not to judge them under condemnation, because in a way, if that's all you do about it, right, it's still not totally gay, right? I get that point as well. But you got to be careful in who you try to get to do that, right? And if you're dealing with minors, you're not the parent of that minor, right? You're dealing with something sexual with a child, right? And again, the child is just a child. If you just touch them the right way, they might can get a boner, right? Or no one can touch them. And like I told you, when I was in the 6th grade, I got a boner in the middle of the class, right? Whoops, don't know how it happened, but it happened, right? It wasn't towards anyone, right? It was just a automatic response, right? And it was probably my first real boner, right? And after that, you start having either wet dreams or masturbating, right? Right. Well, some people tell you you can do it, and some people tell you you can't, right? Like I said, right? You get that too, right? Right. You got that problem too with masturbation. Some people say it's okay to do it, and some people say it's not, right? So when you're raised, though, in the South, then it's gay for 2 men to do that because of how gay people do sex work, right? Versus straight women, right? Being prostitutes as well. And in the ancient times, the male and females would work in prostitution, right? Well, if you don't know all this, right, even to jerk off,